Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session on adapting with an Agile contact center. My name is Gayatri Krishnamurthy. I'm a part of the product marketing team here at inContact and will be your host today. Today, we're going to hear from Goodwill Business Service on how they really looked at different aspects of agility, how they came together, built a plan, and rolled it out, and how they could really transform their contact center into being truly agile. Please join me in welcoming Joshua Gomez, Vice President, Goodwill Business Service. Over to you, Josh.
Thank you, Gayatri, and welcome to my fellow inContact users and those of you who will be joining the family in the very near future. As Gayatri said, I'm Dr. Joshua Gomez, Vice President of Goodwill Business Services, and I am humbled and honored to be able to talk to you today about our experience, our lessons learned, and several other takeaways that I hope you get from today's session. So for today, what we will do is I'll tell you a little bit about Goodwill Business Services. I'm sure people are looking at the familiar logo, the smiling G, as many of you contribute to the community by donating. And again, we'll talk about where we fit into that framework and spend a lot of time talking about what agility means to us. Agility is many things, and from what we're all experiencing with this stay home, throughout the country and throughout the world, it's needed more now than ever. We'll talk about some of the challenges achieving agility and how agility was able to be achieved through the inContact platform. We'll also talk about some best practices in achieving agility. And as I walk you through our journey, I welcome the opportunity to answer any questions at the end of the session. So 3 takeaways. I know we often do takeaways at the end of each presentation, but I want to embed those within this presentation up front. And I want you to capture those as we go throughout this journey and capture the information in this presentation. One is agility is critical to any business. Managing through COVID-19 is a huge case in point. I know many of you have had the challenge of going from on-site to off-site, from one location to multi-locations, telework. It's needed more now than ever. Then the magic formula, right? Everyone always asks, what's the secret? What's the magic formula? It's not simple. However, it's clearly defined. It's growth plus need plus technical ability. That to us is what spelled the secret of success, which translated to agility. Lastly, agility is necessary for the sustainment of operations. If you don't evolve, you're going to fail. If you don't adapt, you're going to have some very significant challenges up front. So these 3 takeaways are what I hope we could talk about, and I am confident that many of you will be able to relate to some of these things that we will share today. So if I first tell you a little bit about Goodwill San Antonio. So Goodwill Industries of San Antonio is, again, has been around for this year, celebrating our 75th anniversary. For 75 years, Goodwill Industries of San Antonio has chartered a mission to help change lives through the power of work. And that goes beyond just providing employment. That is, a good job, a better job, and in many cases, that's a life-changing opportunity for an individual. We often as employers, hire and make job offers to people, not realizing that behind the scenes, we are making such a significant impact in allowing them to not only, survive in their current situation and oftentimes thrive. So we're very proud to be a part of that. And again, as we get into some of the history into how we evolved into contact centers, it'll further shed light into our position. Another thing is Goodwill Industries, we employ individuals with barriers. It could be life barriers through a socioeconomic, diverse background. It could be a mental disability. It could be a physical disability. We have several of our fellow team members who are, disabled veterans who might have not had those full wraparound services at other employment, where here, we really truly believe in the inverted organization. And as our president and chief executive officer, Kevin Bergner, always puts it, is we have to put the team member first. Also, a little bit about Goodwill is in many organizations, the bottom line simply is what is the expense to revenue. In our case, is how many jobs did we create, and how much of a community impact did we have. Depending on the year, we do have different goals that we set into place, and our target is always to invest anywhere between 93 to 97 cents of every dollar back into our communities. And the way we do it here is by the establishment of training programs to where, again, we purposefully seek to assist the underserved and disadvantaged members of our communities and help them, again, better equip themselves through training, education, and other life skills, coaching avenues in order to provide for themselves and their families a better life. Lastly, Goodwill San Antonio, it's more than a retail store. I mean, everyone thinks of Goodwill as the place where you donate, and please keep donating. You are changing lives through that avenue. But Goodwill Business Services for over 20 years now has further diverse itself from just the donation side of our house into contracts management. We manage over 21 active contracts, employing over 700 individuals, and our current portfolio is 84% of our contracts are federal, and the remaining are all in the commercial space. Is where this then takes us to call centers. So currently, if any of you visited sunny San Antonio, it is a little humid, but it's well worth it. We have 3 call centers throughout the city. We have the privilege and honor to showcase today on how our agility and our intentful growth strategies has led and enabled us to achieve a new milestone. So we currently have a call center where we're able to maximize a 400-seat capacity. Due to the current COVID situation, we do have 86% of our workforce within the contact center space working virtually. And again, we were proud to announce that we were able to do this quite seamlessly because of the ability of the inContact platform to be deployed virtually within a matter of minutes. Within some of our contracts, specifically within the government space, we do hire and currently support those contracts with 89% individuals who come from either active veteran, a member of a veteran, or some other way affiliated with a veteran. So again, we are actively pursuing on how we could help our veterans stay employed and also better their lives. We do everything. I mean, as we go on through this presentation, I want you to realize that in addition to call centers, we do everything from grounds contracts, janitorial, office administration, data automation, records imaging, medical records transcription services, recycling services, electronic waste disposal. We do the gamut. In the call center space, we do everything as well. We do inbound, outbound, chat, social media, SMS, and also we work backlog tickets for organizations who have, because of COVID-19, endured a huge, significant backlog of work, and we also help, and partner with those individuals as well. So what's different, right? So I do have a background in the business processing outsourcing space, and where we actively went looking for work. In most cases, irrespective of the type of work, we went to political prospective clients, sales, collections, and everything else in between. Goodwill Industries San Antonio, our business development strategy that is led by our director, Melissa Joy Wynn, we specifically only partner with those opportunities that align with our core values. Anything that is related to putting people in debt, selling services they might not need, anything that might be considered a tough tactic sales call, or anything of that nature, Goodwill Industries does not pursue that type of work. All our customers are either municipalities, the federal government, the armed forces, academic institutions, or community-based entertainment organizations. And again, we take great pride in knowing that the customers that we represent and that we will, talk about today are those that align with our core values. again, we purposely look at hiring individuals with disabilities. Our Ability One program relates to our federal side of our call center space. And within that space, the program requirement is 75%. We're proud to announce that since the inception of this program, we have exceeded our goal and averaged between 88 to 90% of individuals within those contracts being an individual with a disability. And as relatable it is to our mission, again, the technology, the wraparound support, the tools, the performance metrics that we use really, and again, in my opinion, have to be further elevated in order to be able to successfully support an individual with a barrier to employment, keep and blossom within that respective position, and in our attempt to further grow. We also, again, in San Antonio, we have the benefit of securing individuals who do speak multiple languages, predominantly Spanish, and we're able to offer that to our customers as well as to those callers we support throughout the United States and in some cases overseas. So if I may share a little bit about the journey. So for 20 years, we've done business processing outsourcing. However, it was not until 2016 where Goodwill Business Services got into the contact center space. So, I know I'm definitely humbled by, a lot of the speakers on this lineup who have extensive years of experience in managing contact centers in the BPO space. And again, just sharing our journey. In 2016, we procured our first call center, military call type, very complex, 19 different systems and applications used to support each call. And again, I think we started off with one of the toughest ones, which really helped us make a name for ourselves in this space, and further has led to our growth as we onboard new customers and clients. So throughout 2018, again, growth was steady, but slow. Some of our challenges, which we'll highlight today, was technology. We had 3 to 4 different, at certain points we had 4 different call management systems that were integrated with other platforms that maybe necessarily needed a different type of middleware, needed a different type of device, needed a different type of vendor to support the connectivity. It really posed a challenge, 1 from the support side, 2 from the agility side, and then 3 from the overall cost. And it was a very, tough lesson learned. In 2018, we chartered a committee where we looked at a different solution. Instead of adopting the technology presented by some of our clients and customers, we opted to then offer our solution with our technology already in place. So that is a journey that led us into the partnership with inContact. We're proud to say, since we adopted that approach, we've secured 5 additional partners, ranging from a national-based scooter company, which is headquartered here in San Antonio, Texas, and all the way through a nationwide logistics operation. Which again, a lot of this was enabled because of our abilities to offer a ready, out of the box solution versus, needing extensive cure time to get everything into place. So if I may, talk a little bit about when we started going into the journey of selecting inContact. As many of you, are getting ready, to ramp up the strategic planning process. It's important that agility, I think COVID-19 has taught us all about, has evaluated our agility and has either given us those opportunities to learn and grow, or has showcased some of our shortfalls. And like many of you, we spend time each year evaluating how we did, and what we're going to do about those opportunities for improvement moving forward. So when we looked at defining agility, one of the things that came to mind was staffing forecasts. As many of you, whether it's an in-house call center you own and operate as an organization, or one you're looking to outsource, you definitely want to run it as efficient and effective as possible. Gone are the days where historical data really isn't used just as something to keep on a shelf in a binder or saved in a file somewhere on a server. Forecasting is critically important now in that it translates into jobs, it translates into dollars. And we have to look at how these two then impact customer service. For everything we do, forecasting, it comes into play, especially as an outsourcing service provider. It's the ethical and the appropriate thing to do for your customers is to effectively forecast their volume and efforts to serve them to the best of your abilities. The other thing was multi-skilling. We needed a system that enabled us to really change with the trends, the times, the needs, demands, planned or unplanned. And, we did reach somewhere it was so technically complicated that it became a counterproductive exercise to change that. So flexibility is key. Then data management. As you'll see in the fourth bullet point, we are an ISO 9000 certified contact center, as well as a recycling or an R2 certified centers, which means, again, that we safeguard information, we properly store, document, and secure all the contents related to calls, tickets, and call recordings and everything like that. So we needed a system that, we knew with 100% certainty was going to meet those requirements. As you could imagine, and I know looking at several of the folks attending represent financial institutions, represent institutions of higher learning. So PHI, HIPAA, PII, and everything in between, every acronym in between, we have to make sure that we could support and safeguard their data, and also be able to translate that data into actionable items in which our operational leaders can then make those decisions in order to improve efficiency and effectiveness for our clients, customers, and most importantly, those that we serve over the phone, chat, email, or social media. Lastly, enhanced project and campaign launching. Delays. I think, one of the things I wish I could put my entire team in this frame with me, but as social distancing requirements were to have it, it can't be possible at this time. Prior employer, I had a team of about, I would say, 40 people to help me launch a call center. With how technology has advanced, with how efficient I feel we have gotten as an organization, we're able to do it with a team of 6 or less. And, when you put it in perspective, it's very important because IT, HR, you're talking about marketing, you're talking about facilities. I mean, they all have other conflicting priorities, other competing priorities. So it's important that, agility to us means that we could do a lot of the work as a call center enterprise on our own, and involving those partners only during those key points in which we really need their help. And I've worked in those organizations where I needed to submit a work order to IT to do this, or I needed to submit a work order to facilities to do that. And again, so to us, we really needed that platform or that avenue in which we could control the vehicle and how we grew, how we shrunk, and how we pivoted. So again, we will further highlight this throughout the presentation. Here are a couple of challenges, and I know some of you are going to start reading these and start, scratching your hands, like, yep, I can relate to that. So forecasting. Some of you have that spreadsheet, and I know you're looking over at each other and you're thinking to yourself, like, yeah, I have that spreadsheet that somebody created that we think is right. It seems to be pretty accurate. So we had 2 systems. It was a very labor-intensive process. If you look at what our workforce management specialist probably spent out of a 176-hour month, 40 of those hours were probably spent adjusting forecasts, rerunning forecasts, or double-checking the forecast we ran the previous month. So it was a very labor-intensive process. And, the tough part is that it typically translated into 88 to 92% accuracy. There was also system limitations. There was really no data sets. Some of the export data did, translate or, correctly after it was exported. Seconds weren't really, accurately displayed. I couldn't convert the intervals. There were so many other challenges. And then port capacity. Port capacity, to me, that was one of my pet peeves. I could not expand or enhance without having to call someone who had to call someone else to then submit a ticket to then increase support capacity. By then, the surge had happened. My blockage rate had dropped, had increased. My service level had dropped, and it was too late. Then again, we won't talk about that customer support. When someone sells a product and says 2 hours or less, we expect it. And I could say that, some of those service level agreements we had with our tech support on our other systems, it might have been that during implementation, but it definitely was not the case after we went live. So again, these were some of the challenges that we had to look at. How do we best achieve agility, and what lessons have we learned? So we looked at Nice inContact. We looked at a few different platforms, and I'll share with you how we did that and how we ended up with Nice inContact. We wanted, though, first and foremost, to better organize our forecasting and workforce planning activities. And with the CX1 platform, to date, in fact, we check this every day. It's a measure of performance that several of our clients look at. Our forecast is anywhere between 97 and 99. We ran a few months where it was almost 100% accurate month over month. And doing this running call centers for over 20 years, that's remarkable. So we do utilize a workforce optimization tool, and we've broken every piece of it that we could in efforts to really become super users at it. And we're proud to say that it's really helped us achieve and best utilize our resources. Dashboards, right? I've been part of those sales pitches where you get every dashboard in between. I could share that we have our dashboards available to our clients. One of the models in how we run our call centers is we allow our clients visibility to our dashboards live. So they don't need a phone call from us in the middle of the night or at the end of the week or during the monthly review to see how we're doing. They're able to see this on their mobile device, their laptops or tablets or wherever they may be. They're able to see how we're doing in terms of our CSAT, how we're doing on service level, capture rate, abandon rate, average speed of answer, you name it. And what's remarkable is this has been an amazing tool. It has improved our client satisfaction while at the same time reducing the amount of client interaction required because, again, they're all looking at the same thing. Lastly, quality management tool. There's so many tools out there. I like to, think that I've seen them all, and I was quite impressed with the features and options available with the Nice inContact quality tool. Not only are we able to listen in and help provide, beneficial and developmental feedback to our team members on the phones, we're also able to jump in from time to time. We see handle times going long, dashboard showing an alert saying the handle times exceeded threshold, allows our supervisors and team leaders to proactively jump in and assist those team members on an escalated call. There are also options where we're able to take over the call in many situations. And, one of our customers who, serves in the higher education arena during financial aid disbursement, we tend to do that a lot. So, again, we're grateful for this tool and we definitely use it. So we're looking at redefining costs. Again, one of the things I'll say is don't let cost be the primary driver in the selection of anything we do. And it's tough. I know we're all probably looking around on how we could tighten our belts, especially, as we go through COVID-19, it had a significant impact on, organizations across the globe. We did understand and we did find that Nice inContact was a lower price per license. When you look at lower price per license, you have to then compare to what features am I getting for the price of one license. And we were able to reduce our cost on average from $20 to $50, again, on average per license, depending on the system that we've moved. So I had several systems before, and I'm proud to say that, as of 2 years ago, we became a Nice inContact shop primarily. So again, you have to look at and compare what you're getting for the price. Then, as I shared with you on the previous slide, is reduced overhead. We owe it to our customers, we owe it to our clients to be good stewards of their budget, being good stewards and good partners by disclosing or identifying any savings. And as we got better at forecasting, as we got better at interval scheduling through the workforce optimization tool, on one of our larger contracts, we were able to reduce the requirements by 10 FTEs. 10 full-time equivalents on this contract translated to almost $500,000. And again, it's important. Yeah, a lot of folks are like, well, that $500,000 would have been great for that year. But the 8-year contract that I now have with this customer to us adds more value, because that means that I get to employ that many more people for that longer period of time. So again, there is a huge impact to how you service your callers, how you service your customers, and how you service your clients. The other thing is business development. This is, again, I want to say that because of our name, Goodwill Industries and the Smile and G has a great reputation amongst the community. However, it really doesn't fare too well sometimes in the outsourcing space. I could, from many conferences I've attended and seminars I've spoken at, people always look at me saying, well, what's Goodwill doing here? Are you asking for donations? Well, yes, I'll take your donations, and I'll also take your business. Now, I would definitely appreciate that. But it's also enabled us to increase in terms of price, and as well as what I like to call is on-the-spot demonstrations. One of the ones that always comes to mind is the scooter-based company that we secured the contract in. Is we put a demonstration together within a matter of 4 minutes on the drive to meet with that client. It was a warm introduction from our marketing team, Miss Penny Benavides, if you're listening, thank you. And they were expecting just to hear the sales pitch. Well, not only did they hear our sales pitch, they heard of our mission, but they also got to hear their call center. And we had secured a toll-free number, which we had on hand, and we set up an IVR for them on the car ride there in 4 minutes. And they heard it. They were amazed. They thought we had been working on it for weeks, and we shared, no, it's on the car ride here. And again, it's a huge competitive advantage. When we look at portability and overall flexibility, our clients, our customers, our callers need that agility. They need that flexibility. So in terms of being able to move this from an on-premise to an off-premise or virtual environment is important. We exercise this on a quarterly basis, and we were glad we did, because as COVID-19 impacted us, we were able to leverage this and get us through at least that period of uncertainty until we could get those safety protocols in place in our work centers to bring those employees back into the physical environment. Also, we were happy to launch such an exercise prior to COVID-19 during Hurricane Michael for one of our federal government customers, in which we set up a crisis line for them within a matter of 24 hours. And again, all this was really possible because of our ability to pivot and leverage this technology to better serve our customers. Again, and lastly, it's got to be a compatible solution. There's some that don't work with this, don't work with that. We've tried to find that right balance between the technology in which we invest in as an organization, as well as the technology and software we invest in terms of a call center enterprise. And we're proud to say that every ticketing system, whether it's Zoho, R&T, whether it's Zendesk or Salesforce, we found that the inContact platform works well with each one of those. So that's something always to take into consideration when you're redefining your cost models. So a little bit about the impact. So we're able to witness 40% workforce shrinkage, due to the flu season. And we see this every year. I know this year is a little different, as many of your kids are now going back into school, but it's an anomaly that we've seen in prior years. So we were able to, identify this up front and really plan for it. And we ended the month well with zero or minimal impact to service level, customer satisfaction, and again, all of this was really in place because of the workforce optimization. Then, when you're looking at relocating resources, you need a system that evolves with you and it's able to showcase or tell you where you're going to have gaps in coverage. And it's really the performance management piece of CX1 has helped us identify where we're scheduling individuals. Because I know, a lot of you are maybe doing a shift bid type scheduling or performance type scheduling or tenure type scheduling. This really helps flush out any potential gaps, because although you might have the required number of full-time equivalents in that interval, really leveraging this tool will help you identify that although you might have the required full-time equivalents, their level of performance might not be enough to help you sustain or achieve the service level requirements for that specific interval. So this was really helpful to us. Then through all our contracts, we measure our effectiveness with forecasting because, again, we try to do everything we can to be good stewards of the organization's resources, to include, and it extends to, our clients and customers. So we still have an internal goal of 95% or better forecasting accuracy. We're proud to say that right now we're averaging 98 for 2020, and we couldn't have done it without this tool. And we're glad to say that we're able to not use those two other tools that were quite labor intensive. The reduced workforce requirements, for those of you that are managing an in-house call center, which we also manage, we also have our internal call center that supports our internal partners and departments. It's important because, again, that is the front line for your respective organizations. That experience, good or bad, has an effect on your company's reputation. So, we really leverage at ensuring we have those data points that enable us to make those business decisions. For example, internally, we had scheduled our call center in the traditional format, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as we migrated over to the inContact platform from the previous service provider, it really highlighted some anomalies in which our bell curve, in which we thought was really what was happening. It wasn't the case. The volume was quite lopsided, showing that we really should be staffing more in one period of time versus how we were traditionally doing. And conversely, we were able to also extend the hours to better serve those callers. And we were able to witness a significant increase in service level and improvement in overall customer satisfaction. Lastly, this is everyone's goal: productivity, productivity, productivity. How to manage an individual's productivity without the overbearing physical presence of an on-site, in your social distance to space supervisor. Well, we empower our agents. We empower our team members. We provide them all with their dashboard so they know exactly how they're doing at any given point in time, whether it's by the interval, by the day, by the week, or for the month. Our scorecarding has definitely taken it to a different level, and it's all because of how we're able to manage that intraday performance. And I think inherently all our folks come to work wanting to know that they're doing a good job. And again, a lot of this is possible because of these dashboards. And what we're finding is that they police each other. I've personally witnessed some of their healthy conversations on, "Hey, Josh, I saw you called in last Monday. I hope you're okay. And by the way, I took 10 more calls that day, and so did everybody else because you called in. So do me a favor, take your vitamin C on the weekend." And it's great. It's great when individuals could interact with each other, encourage each other, and in some cases hold each other accountable without the intense involvement of operations management, of HR, and we've seen that our involuntary separations related to performance have pretty much dwindled down to zero. And that's the way our organization would like to keep it. We definitely want people to succeed. And the tools required to succeed are not only training, development, and all the support structures that relate to benefits, but it's also performance management. And again, dashboarding is a critical tool for this goal. So just giving a rundown so far, and I know we've talked a lot about what we do, and I want to showcase on some of the remarkable things our folks are doing. We've handled over 2 million customer inquiries. That's a lot. We started off with 56 agents. We're now over 260. And it's we start off with one, very tough, complex client line of business, and, now we're supporting over 8. And to us, that's, a very significant accomplishment that, is really a catalyst on us investing further into our future. Our satisfaction rates continue to remain at 95% or greater. We've resolved all customer service-related tickets within our threshold of 24 hours. So in essence, we've achieved a 100% timeliness rating. Before we did struggle a little bit Some of our systems weren't integrated well within our ticketing system, so we weren't able to multi-skill agents or identify gaps or really measure true occupancy. So now, we're able to really tie those two in together and leverage periods of idle time and shift those into processing tickets, which helps us maintain our 100% timeliness rating. First contact resolution. That's probably one of the things I hear in every monthly business review, quarterly business review, is how much are you taking away from those tier 2 resources? And we're 80% is a far stretch. Our initial goal was 50%, so we're doing 30% better. However, our goal as we continue to do this is to be as close as we can to 100%. Definitely not trying to take tier 2 out of a job, but definitely want to give them and empower them with that opportunity and that time to focus on those higher level items and not allow us to take on the rest. And lastly, capture rate. Capture rate is, the amount of calls coming in, and of those, how many do we answer? We like to say that, we'd like to answer all 100%. Some of our callers, unfortunately, don't like to, wait on the phones longer than 10 seconds. However, we're going to keep trying and keep striving towards that 100% capture rate. I know we're best in industry standards. However, it's something we're really proud of, and we've seen significantly improve year over year. So as I mentioned earlier, because of our agility, because of the competitiveness, and because of our proven performance, in 2020, we procured a new facility, 42,000 square feet of call center space. So I know for some of you, this is still a small call center. It's okay. We'll get there. Give us time. However, from 56 agents on an on-premise call center to now, having a combined over 800 seats within all our locations, we're extremely proud of that. And if any of you are ever, in our neighborhood, in, sunny San Antonio, Texas, I hope you take down my information, and I hope you remember this presentation, and just give us a call. We'd be glad to take you on a tour of our facility and really show you on what our individuals are doing to really make a difference in our customers' lives. So with this new facility, we're hoping that we fill it. It has 400 seats, 400 seat capacity. Right now we have 130 of those filled. Our intent is to slow it down while we navigate together through COVID-19, with the intent of filling it up by the end of next year. So again, if you're ever in the neighborhood, stop on by. Couple of best practices, and I know we'll go back to our 3 key takeaways. In your selection process or in your product, I know there's different products of the NICE inContact system, like the workforce optimization or the quality assurance tool. Include all key stakeholders. We included our marketing, HR, of course, IT. Got to give IT love. Facilities into the decision-making group, but we also included our clients and our agents. So part of the decision to move into NICE inContact was made by those individuals serving on the phones day in and day out. We also put together some demonstrations that we allowed some of our clients to sit in on, to show them and be as transparent on the move as we could with them. And it was something that really helped to pave the way for future ethical and other practices that will enable us to sustain those long-term relationships with our partners. Also, as we went back to the initial slides, is you got to define what agility means. I know there's many catchphrases as we go along that we introduce, but again, defining what agility means up front is important. You can't go into a procurement of a software or another product or service without truly understanding what the outcome looks like. There's within the NICE inContact platform, there's referral programs in which you're more than able to contact myself or other individuals who are also speaking at this conference, where they too could also share their experiences and some of their lessons learned, which will help you make a well-informed decision. Include agility in the technology selection. If you weren't thinking of this prior, COVID-19 has definitely put this at the forefront. I come from the traditional background where I needed to be in the physical space because I felt performance would suffer if I moved to a virtual environment. I felt that I had less control over the bandwidth of a network if people were working from home. Well, it's safe to say that COVID-19 has tested that for us, and we're definitely learning some lessons along the way. But the technology has to be portable. If you can't move someone from on-premise to off-premise, it's something that I encourage you all to put into your plans. Identify all the needs during the onboarding process. One of the things is put together a list of all the needs, and that'll help shape your budget. That'll also help identify the true selection. And as I said, don't let cost alone be the single driver of your selection process. And, a key, like as I started off this slide with, is make agility part of your strategic planning process. We definitely have it as ours. We definitely have, programs that are built around agility, and we will continue to use that model as that's proven to be successful for us in prior years, current year, and in the future. So we covered a lot today, and if I may take you back to the initial takeaways, we really have to look at how agility helps us manage our business. And when we look at it, we use words like adaptability, we use words like flexibility, whichever one you decide to catch on to. It has to be in the best interest of your organization and those customers you serve. I know oftentimes decisions are made one-sided, and it might be good internally for the company, but it might not necessarily help your customer or, most importantly, the caller on the other line. Then remember, growth plus need plus technical ability equals agility. Bring those stakeholders in, involve them as part of the process, and involve them in the decision-making part of the process as well. Lastly, when you're looking at agility and the sustainment of operations, look at some lessons learned. I know there'll be several out there on COVID-19, but I can tell you that we definitely got a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of lessons learned, a lot of takeaways, a lot of revisit, resharpen, revamp, reform, you name it, everything. But I am proud to say that we did a lot of things right. With the amount of individuals we have working for us. And again, as I take you back, many of those with barriers, whether they're mental or physical, we were able to still leverage technology to help them work safely from home. And in a lot of cases, we reduced turnover. In fact, during COVID-19, turnover, despite what, unemployment benefits were out there, was one of the lowest periods of unemployment trends for us. And I think a lot of this was because we were able to help these individuals stay at home, stay safe, and stay employed. So, we talked a lot today. I definitely was excited to, be a part of this conference, and I'm definitely grateful to talk to you today about the Nice inContact platform. I've used many out throughout my career. There's very few I feel passionate about, but I am, definitely an advocate. I'm a user, and I will continue to be for the Nice inContact platform and be a part of the Nice inContact family. God bless you. Stay safe, and I look forward to answering some of your great questions or any feedback or ideas or best practices you'd like to share. Thank you, Gate 3, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much for such great insights, for sharing your story with the audience today. And I'm sure they have quite a few things to take back home and experiment in their contact centers. Now we'll open it up for Q&A. Okay, so I do see a few questions come along, and for people in the audience, please use the questions and answers pane and type in your questions. So the first question that I have for you, Josh, is what has been some of the practical challenges of integrating Nice inContact with your other applications?
That's a great question. And I think, our workforce management, gurus would probably be able to, really take this question on. I think it's really ensuring adaptability with other systems. Too often do we, get sold on the vehicle, but, don't really look underneath the hood. And in this case, some of the challenges we faced was there was not a lot of integration. It was a one-type platform where it only worked with its specific partners or vendors. And, for those of you that are using, application programming interfaces, it's pretty challenging. And it was great to see that this one had already several pre-built APIs with on-premise or cloud-based solutions. And this was probably the one that stuck with us the most. And in fact, one of the biggest struggles we had in previous experiences was working with such call management systems that didn't fully integrate with other solutions. So we pretty much had to invest in so much of the middleware just to make them work. Great question.
Right. And we also have our CX Exchange. You could look for some of the pre-built integrations that we have with Nice inContact CX1 as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Let's see. I have one more around, you talked around bringing teams together. So this one is specifically around technical team. And can you talk through the setup for your technical team?
Right. So our technical team, we're, not your typical IT organization. Our IT department not only supports the business services side of the house, which is Goodwill Business Services, they also support the retail, which is all your point of sale systems and everything else in between. So their resources are really tied up. So we have a team of individuals that serves as our workforce planning and analytical team. They're led by a very remarkable person who is able to keep that team focused on not just understanding how to manage the system, but understanding how to leverage all the full functions and features. So one of the things that is a must, from the call center leadership perspective is when if this is something you're designing or developing inside, the individual leading this group must have that technical know-how. But it's important that they also understand the call center perspective, because you could have someone who understands the technical side but doesn't really understand call centers, or vice versa. You have someone who understands a call center but does not have that technical aptitude in order to learn the ins and outs of the system. So we were blessed to have this in-house already, and the talent that has come from this department and this leadership has really enabled us to really maximize the use of this platform. And I could use it. I'm not saying I'm not technically, challenged, but it definitely is. It's very user friendly.
Thank you. Yeah, makes sense. I'm going to move on to another one that we have. It's about COVID, and we've all been going through this challenge. So you talked a little bit about that in your presentation. Do you want to talk through maybe like the top one or two challenges fresh out of your mind from COVID and how you've been able to overcome that?
Right. Well, the first, lesson learned is, for you call center leaders out there, more than likely you will not be the one to push the panic button. Someone else is going to push it. It's going to be, organizational and senior leadership. It might be your customers, might be the employees, and in most cases, it might be the client. Our situation was a blessing and a curse. While many companies close their doors, de-scope their work, ours, in fact, with the exception of two of our smaller contracts, the rest were deemed the mission essential. So, not only did we have to continue to operate and work in this environment, but we also have to keep our team members safe. So agility, that we're on the subject, deals with more than just technology. It's also the use of physical space. And, when you're working virtually, one of the lessons learned is, and, we have some great, again, operational leadership on the call center side that, had preemptively developed scorecards and performance expectations for the virtual environment. So our workforce management team takes us through this exercise on a quarterly basis. So, we were ready for it under a different circumstance. We had planned it more in line with a natural disaster versus a pandemic. However, the biggest thing was the exercising of that component, because generators are great to keep the lights on, but they definitely don't do much use during a pandemic. So expand your disaster recovery plans to cover this, because again, if many of you are like me, it was a line item, one of your disaster recovery plans, but it wasn't the more likely scenario to happen. And guess what? It happened, and it quickly moved up our list, and we definitely will get better at it, and we'll continue to learn and evolve. Great question.
Yeah, thank you. And it's no longer a snow day, right? It's not like 1 or 2 days. It's longer than we all want it to be. So great insights there. Thank you. And one more from Stephanie. She says she would love to do a site visit. I'm in Texas all the time, in Canyon Lake in Austin. So thank you, Stephanie. And I'm sure, Josh, you're excited to have people visit your center.
Yes, definitely. Just you'll have my contact information. Just reach out to us. Myself or Mr. James Hughes or Melissa Winjoy. We'll be able to, coordinate that visit and put you in touch with our operational on-site leadership, and we'd be glad to show you around our centers. There are some located on military installations, so we'll definitely coordinate that in advance. But no, we definitely welcome it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I have one more. You mentioned a small team and cross-training agents for multiple methods. What advice can you give us on how to do that with a small workforce? So cross-training agents, especially when you have a smaller workforce. Your thoughts?
No, great question. Well, there's a little disadvantage or advantage. I'm a educator, trainer, professor for many years. So, this is something that we really look into and doing here. We cross-train not just out of necessity, but out of job enrichment as well. We do a lot of upfront, I would call it resourcing, in terms of learning styles and assessing an individual's, aptitude and potential to cross over into other lines. So what I recommend, for many is that it starts off with a learning assessment to identify, the learning styles to better align with that specific line of business. For example, we have call centers call center work that is more hands-on. You really can't learn it in a room or through theory. It's more, here's the introduction, and then you have to get in there and drive. While others, it's a lot of knowledge-based searching. It's a lot of info sharing. So it's more like tier 0.5 work. So what I would recommend is you group the skill types, you group the call types together, and then you segment your training out into that perspective to where you might have your more complex in one group, and then like I said, the 0.5 type work, you make that as a secondary means, which means they'll only jump in and take those call types if the queue's backed up on that end. So a lot of it has to do with how you recruit, so I think that one takes us a little bit more away from the technical side of what we're talking about today. But I'd love to schedule a conference call, follow-up conference call, and share with you with what we do and how we do it. And we also have training specialists that would be more than glad to jump on the call and share that as well. Great question. It's a great challenge to have.
Yes. I think we have time for one last question. So this is about the roles for your agents. Are there specific roles for your agents? How are you set up from an agent perspective?
Yes, there is. I know some of you probably use the tiered system where you have a entry-level agent, level 1, level 2, level 3. Here, a lot of our internal promotion opportunities, internal development opportunities, or as we also refer to them, stretch assignments, are based on your performance level, as well as tenure and other factors. So, for example, we don't have, because of our diligent work on turnover, don't necessarily hire back-to-back classes or hire the large-scale classes, which requires a traditional training format. So what we do is we use, which is referred to as a program-ready agent, or some of us might call them a helper. Which we do tie in, and we work with our HR to, obviously compensate them more while they're doing this. But we have specific milestones that they have to achieve before they're able to get into that specific line. And again, scorecarding is critical. If an individual doesn't know what to strive for in efforts to be allowed or those opportunities, then they're really not going to know what to focus on. And I think when you're looking at how we use and leverage our agents, our agents are really empowered to take control of their own careers. Like I said, I wish I could, bring everybody out in this room so I could highlight the amazing accomplishments. We have, a young lady who was a team leader, now manages our workforce management department. We have another young lady who was a chat agent when I met her, and now she runs an entire call center. So again, advancement and performance scorecarding all has to be tied together, and that's really how we've leveraged the system and other internal tools to foster that type of environment here. That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's great insights. I think you referred in your presentation as well as on how to empower them. It's more self-running. So great insights. So thank you all again for taking time today, and we have a lot of fantastic sessions lined up. So please do join us in various other sessions as a part of interactions, and hope you all have a great and wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you all. God bless.